Sometimes life refuses to follow the script we write for it. We plan, we calculate, we draw out perfect maps of where we think we're headed. But love ignores logic, timing, and reason. It arrives when it wants, flips everything you thought you understood, and shows you what truly matters. Love isn't some side story that distracts you from your purpose. It's the invisible energy that gives your purpose meaning. People often believe they must choose between love and ambition, as if emotion weakens drive. But if you look closer, you'll see that love isn't an obstacle in the path. It's the quiet heartbeat that powers the entire journey. Find every invention, every breakthrough, every dream once thought impossible. There's a spark of love, love for creating, love for people, love for someone who made the struggle worth it. Without that spark, even the greatest success can feel strangely empty. Many think emotion clouds judgment, but real emotion doesn't blur logic. It strengthens it. It gives the mind something to fight for, something beyond numbers and plans. When you love what you do, or who you do it for, work stops being a checklist. It turns into devotion. You push past exhaustion, beyond limits, because the purpose feels alive. It's no longer about reaching the top. It's about expressing that love through what you build and leave behind. Success becomes less about what you achieve and more about why you chase it. Love gives your goals a heartbeat. It reminds you why the struggle matters at all. You can design, plan, and innovate endlessly. But without love, for your craft, for people, for the future, all you have left is cold efficiency. Love is the secret ingredient that turns progress into art. It changes the chase for goals into something sacred. It makes you care not only about the finish line, but about every step that gets you there. When love is missing, purpose turns mechanical. You might reach the goal, but it feels lifeless. Love humanizes ambition. It connects you with those who benefit from your efforts, with the story behind every challenge. It keeps the mission alive long after logic says stop. Even in moments of loneliness, when your path feels isolated, the thought of someone or something you care about becomes gravity. It keeps you centered. Love brings clarity in chaos and meaning in fatigue. It makes perseverance possible when reason has given up. As you chase greatness, there are times the road feels cold, where data replaces emotion and deadlines replace passion. But love quietly returns to remind you why you began. It's not applause that pushes you forward, but the memory of connection, the feeling that what you're building touches someone's soul, or maybe the shared soul of humanity. Love becomes the quiet motivation that burns long after fame fades. Purpose gives you direction, but love gives that direction depth. It warms your success, turning ambition into something alive. Love isn't success's rival, it's the hidden architect behind it. It's the reason creation feels divine, and why your heart keeps pushing even when logic says you've done enough. In a world obsessed with image and control, it's easy to build a version of yourself that looks complete but feels empty. You learn to speak the language of confidence, to wear the armor of success. But when real connection enters, that armor begins to crack. Not from weakness, but from truth. Real love doesn't admire your mask, it quietly asks to see the person beneath it. The ego thrives on distance. It feeds on competition and control. It tells you vulnerability is danger, that emotion is weakness, that you must stand alone. But love breaks that illusion. It shows where ego ends and humanity begins. When someone truly sees you, not your achievements, but your essence, it disarms everything you've tried to protect. You realize strength isn't about being untouchable, it's about being seen and still standing whole. It's about being honest without pretending to be perfect. In moments of deep connection, roles fall away. The titles, the applause, the expectations, they fade. What remains is your raw self, the one still filled with fear, wonder, and hope. It feels strange at first because the ego resists being unmasked. But slowly, that discomfort turns into freedom. You begin to see that the person behind the success, the real you, is the one who truly feels alive. Connection becomes a mirror. It shows both your brilliance and your flaws. For once, you stop running from either. True love doesn't chase perfection, it seeks truth. It reveals that achievement isn't the same as fulfillment. You could stand at the top of everything you ever wanted and still feel unseen, because what the ego builds can impress the world but never feed the soul. Connection pulls you back into the simple act of being human, to care, to feel, to listen, to belong. It doesn't weaken ambition, it gives it heart. It makes success meaningful because it's shared, not displayed. It reminds you that progress and creation begin and end with people, not titles. When ego leads, relationships turn into exchanges. When love leads, they become transformations. You stop measuring worth by results and start valuing presence. You realize that authenticity isn't a flaw, it's your foundation. The ego can construct empires, but only connection can breathe life into them. And once you've felt that kind of honesty, to be truly seen, understood, and accepted, you can never return to pretending. Love dismantles ego because it speaks a language that logic can't decode. It reaches the corners of your soul that success can't touch. It reminds you why you wanted to grow in the first place. Greatness without connection isn't greatness at all. It's isolation disguised as victory. The woman I couldn't stop loving became a symbol of this evolution through vulnerability. She wasn't just a person, she was a mirror that revealed the parts of me still waiting to grow. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the doorway through which transformation enters. When someone reaches beyond your surface and touches the unguarded parts of you, you start to change. You face your fears, insecurities, and illusions of control. Love doesn't flatter, it reflects. It shows you exactly what needs healing. We all wear layers of protection built from pain, pride, and fear. But someone who truly sees you makes those layers unnecessary. The woman I couldn't stop loving represented the moment when every wall fell. Not because I forced them down, but because I realized they were never protecting me from pain, they were keeping me from growth. Vulnerability begins when you stop managing how you're seen and start allowing yourself to be felt. It's not about opening up to everyone. It's about being real with one person, and through that honesty, learning to be real with yourself. Real love doesn't always bring comfort. Sometimes it shakes you awake. It challenges your habits, forces you to face the patterns you've been avoiding. The person you can't stop loving often becomes your greatest teacher, not through words, but through reflection. Every misunderstanding, every silence, every reconnection becomes part of your growth. Love becomes a kind of emotional classroom, teaching lessons that logic never could. Through that process, you learn to let go of control. You learn to sit with uncertainty instead of fighting it. You begin to surrender that part of yourself that demands perfection. And in that surrender, something powerful happens. You evolve. You discover that love isn't there to complete you. It's there to expose the parts of you that need healing. It reveals your fragility, your incompleteness, and shows you the quiet beauty hidden inside it. The woman I couldn't stop loving wasn't just someone I desired. She became my awakening. Through her presence, I learned that love's greatest gift isn't peace. It's transformation. You don't grow because love makes life easy. You grow because it shakes the false calm that keeps you from expanding. It softens the heart, humbles the mind, and teaches you to care without calculation. When you love deeply, ambition changes shape. It stops being a chase for recognition and becomes an act of compassion. You begin to value understanding over winning, depth over display. Vulnerability turns ambition into empathy, logic into wisdom, and loneliness into connection. It builds an emotional intelligence that no trophy or achievement can replace. To love deeply is to let life touch you without armor. And that transformation doesn't roar, it whispers. It unfolds quietly, like dawn breaking after a long night. One day, you realize you've changed. You're softer yet stronger, grounded yet limitless. And when you trace the path backward, you see it all began with one soul who dared to see you, not as perfect, but as human. Through their love, you discovered yourself. True love doesn't wait for your permission or your perfect timing. It arrives like a storm, uninvited but necessary. You can plan your days, organize your goals, and believe you have control over what enters your life. But love doesn't follow blueprints. It doesn't knock politely. It rushes in, rearranges everything, and rewrites the definition of ready. When love finds you, it doesn't care about your walls, your schedule, or your logic. It moves through the cracks and touches places you didn't know were there. It awakens the sleeping parts of you, the empathy, the courage, the ability to feel deeply without strategy. Logic gives you safety, but love gives you transformation. You start to move through life differently. Instead of acting from fear or calculation, you start choosing what feels real. You stop living like a machine built on reason and start flowing with instinct and emotion. This kind of love doesn't derail your path. It expands it. It turns direction into destiny. You realize love doesn't come to slow you down. It comes to deepen your capacity for life. It teaches you patience, kindness, and the strength to be human. It doesn't replace ambition. It refines it. You stop chasing success to prove something. Instead, you create from a place of meaning and connection. Love's transformation isn't always calm. It's often messy. It confuses you, shakes your beliefs, even scares you. But behind that chaos lies growth. Growth that logic alone could never create. Because love changes your perception. It changes how you see the world. You begin to find beauty in places you once ignored. Silence starts to feel alive, and connection becomes more important than control. Love shows you that not every step forward needs to be planned. Some of the most beautiful moments in life happen when you stop resisting and allow yourself to feel. It's not about losing logic. It's about merging it with emotion, about letting the heart and mind move together. That balance becomes your new compass. When love enters, it doesn't erase who you are. It refines you. It removes what's fake and reveals what's real. You stop performing and start participating in your own life. You care less about image and more about truth. You stop counting wins and losses and begin to value experience and honesty. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, choice by choice, every time you act from love instead of fear. It's the silent revolution that redirects your life without you even realizing it. Love doesn't change your path in one dramatic moment. It reshapes your entire being through thousands of small ones. Progress without emotion is hollow. Creation without connection is empty. There comes a point when the excitement of achievement begins to fade. When the trophies and milestones stop feeling magical. You can build endlessly, set records, and innovate beyond limits. But without emotion, it all turns into noise. Movement without meaning. Emotion gives progress color. It turns an invention into something that touches hearts. The greatest advancements come not from cold logic but from empathy, from the desire to connect, to heal, to understand. When progress loses touch with emotion, it becomes mechanical, efficient, but lifeless. Machines can calculate, but only emotion can inspire. Emotion is what transforms creation into art, logic into life. It's what makes technology human and purpose divine. And intimacy, the closeness between a creator and their creation, is what keeps that emotion alive. Intimacy doesn't just exist between people, it exists between you and what you build. When you care deeply about what you create, your work stops being a product, it becomes an offering. Every great idea has a human heartbeat behind it. It's born from curiosity, from love, from the longing to make life better. Innovation that ignores emotion may move faster, but it loses direction. It becomes forgettable. But when you infuse care and compassion into your work, what you build carries energy and invisible warmth people can feel. Emotion is the hidden design of meaning. It decides why something matters long after its usefulness fades. The world doesn't remember creations just because they function. It remembers them because they move people. Emotion is what connects invention to humanity. To innovate with intimacy means staying close to what makes us human: awareness, empathy, care. It means asking not just, can we build this, but also, should we? And who will it touch? When creation stays connected to compassion, it adds harmony instead of chaos. Progress becomes more than advancement. It becomes evolution. It's ironic that emotion, which people often label as irrational, is actually what gives structure to logic. Without emotion, innovation becomes a lifeless monument. But with it, even the simplest creation becomes timeless. Progress without emotion is like a song without sound, structured, but silent. True innovation doesn't just change how we live, it changes how we feel about living. The most powerful progress reminds us of our own hearts. It's not just about reaching the stars. It's about remembering why we looked up in the first place. The greatest discoveries in life aren't hidden in space or buried inside machines. They exist within us, in the courage to love deeply. Humanity has always searched outward for meaning, exploring stars, unlocking matter, building systems to explain existence. But the most profound exploration begins in the heart, in the emotional landscapes that define what it means to be alive. Love is the most complex force we'll ever face, because it demands everything logic refuses to give. It asks for surrender, trust, and vulnerability, without any guarantee in return. The bravery to love deeply isn't just about romance. It's about opening yourself completely to life, to empathy, to connection, to the raw beauty of being human. When you love deeply, you step into unknown territory. There's no map, no instruction, no safety net. You move through emotion like an explorer through the dark, guided only by instinct and faith. The discoveries you make aren't scientific, they're spiritual. You begin uncovering the hidden parts of yourself, the ones buried beneath fear, pride, and pain. You come to realize that love isn't an escape from reality, it's a deeper dive into it. To love with courage means staying open when the world tempts you to close. It's choosing softness in a world that rewards hardness. It's rebellion against apathy, a quiet protest against living numb. In our quest for progress, we often forget that a single human heart holds more mystery than the entire universe. The emotional world within one person is as vast as the galaxies above. The courage to explore it is what defines true evolution. Machines can expand knowledge, but only love can expand awareness. It's love that gives discovery meaning, intelligence purpose, and science soul. Even the brightest minds eventually circle back to this truth, that knowledge without connection is empty. Every great discovery loses value if it doesn't deepen our understanding of each other or ourselves. The courage to love deeply means daring to be seen, to risk pain, to face loss, to stand in impermanence without retreating into safety. It's easier to hide behind walls, to analyze life instead of feeling it, to let intellect replace emotion. But all true discovery, whether in science or in spirit, begins when someone dares to step beyond comfort. Love asks for that same leap. It invites you to risk the familiar for something infinite. When you take that leap, you find the true structure of existence, not made of equations or particles, but of invisible threads connecting all living things. Love is the final frontier because it reveals that every search, every pursuit outside, has always been a reflection of the desire to connect within. The courage to love deeply is the highest form of intelligence. It's where the heart and mind finally meet, where what we see blends with what we feel. It's the kind of wisdom that doesn't measure life by logic, but by meaning. The universe around us may be endless, but the universe inside, awakened by love, is just as vast. When you truly understand this, you realize something beautiful. The same force that lights up stars is the one that opens hearts. The energy that binds galaxies together is the same energy that connects two souls. The courage to love is not weakness, it's creation itself. Because at the end of everything, the deepest truth remains. Love is not just part of the human story. Love is the story.